Hey guys, coming at you with a little update for this week. Not much has changed since my last video, but I'm just going to share some thoughts on where I think Bitcoin is heading in because it's had some great moves earlier this week, but it's been manipulated and sold off to create this ugly looking wick. So we're going to dive into it real quick and just give you some quick thoughts. So right now, Bitcoin is still holding above the 50 SMA right there, looking pretty good. I like what I'm seeing on that front. If we go to the daily chart, we can see that Bitcoin is still also holding above that $107,000 important support line. So yes, we did dip below it, but managed to get some buyers. There's clearly some demand there. Doesn't mean there's always going to remain demand. It might fall and break through, and then that's going to look ugly for Bitcoin because it shows us that we're probably heading lower on Bitcoin. And that's not something I want to see because it means we're going to see more pain on the alts. Now, Bitcoin was looking pretty good here. I called it at about 106,000 down there. I said if Bitcoin was able to stay above that and actually move towards the upside here, it would be looking good. And it did. It did that exactly that up to that moving average right there, sold off. And the reason for that is because Trump managed to announce 155% tariffs on China as of November 1st, which is obviously not great news. But at the same time, the market's kind of grown numb to it. It didn't dump as much as it did the first time around. This time, it just dumped the pump. And not only that, we also have Binance has been offloading millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin and Ethereum every hour, completely wiping out yesterday's pump. And that's why we see this ugly wick. The good news is it managed to wick up there in the first place, got the sellers gone. And now we're looking for potentially continuing that pump. If you take a look at the 4 hour here, we still have to get above this moving average, so above 109,000. And if we can get back above that, that would look really great. Currently, it's in decision phase. We don't know whether it's going to be up or down. Obviously, I'm betting towards the upside, as you guys can see by this long position right here. I've bet on a couple of alts, namely XRP and Litecoin, that we're going to move towards the upside. And I do think Bitcoin is going to give us this upside to about 118 to 16,000, which would be incredibly bullish because it shows us a change of structure that we're heading towards the upside. This would be very, very bullish for Bitcoin. And I think would leave many people sidelined as a lot of people are turning bearish here. They're simply not interested in Bitcoin. However, when we were up here, people were very excited. And that's the nature of the game, is that it gets you really excited where you shouldn't be, and it gets you really fearful where you shouldn't be. Now, the easiest way to combat this is have an invalidation point. And for me, the invalidation point is below $106,000. So if we get below there, then I'm going to be targeting much, much lower. 100K obviously on the table, but if we don't hold that, I think we're going to go low 90s. Anywhere between 93 and 90 is going to be my guess if we take out these lows, which I really don't want to see because it would mean we're going to take a lot longer to make this move, and potentially it's the start of the bear market. So obviously there is a bearish sentiment, and for good reason. However, I'm not going to be bearish on support like we have been down here and here and here, and it just turns out, you know what, should have bought support, should have sold resistance. That's just how it works. And especially when we're so close to invalidation. I mean, you can see this, it's a 5-to-1 reward. So for every dollar I put in, I get 5 back. That's a pretty good deal to me. So obviously I'm going to take this trade, whether it's through exposure through alts or Bitcoin. I think it works out. The only problem is obviously alts are going to be more volatile and harder to navigate. And already you can see alts are moving towards the downside with 10% moves here, and something's happening on the alts. They're obviously getting bled through. Maybe there's a move coming. They detect a move coming on Bitcoin towards the downside. But let's take a look at Solana right now, just on this video. And you can see it's heading towards that triple bottom potentially to crack towards the upside if Bitcoin moves through. If it doesn't, obviously Solana is going to move a little bit lower. But before we get to Solana, let's move to Ethereum, because Ethereum is the next major player in this market. It's going to signal to the alts there's interest here, and it's what's going to drive the alts higher. So Ethereum goes higher, obviously people are going to be interested in alts because it's a signal of alt appetite. And right now, I would say Ethereum is in a value area if you want to buy Ethereum, because right now in this area of around 3,800 to 3,600, I think is a place to buy. That's support. You can see we bought it here, and we're potentially going to bounce here. And if we bounce here, I think this bounce, because of where Bitcoin is at, is going to take us above the 4K mark. And not only that, if we manage to pass this 450 mark, really important mark right there, we're actually going to speed rocket up to about $6,000, I think. So we're at a very pivotal point in the market where the market has to respond either up or down. It's done going sideways. I think it's at that inflection point at this point. And if Ethereum doesn't hold here, we're probably going to see about 3,000 to, I want to say 3,300 on Ethereum, maybe even lower. So that's being optimistic, I think. Let me just point this right there. That's going to be the optimistic. Obviously, it can get a lot worse for Ethereum if the market goes lower than I expect. I would say Ethereum at this price means Bitcoin has probably reached 93, 94. And then if it goes lower, I think we see 28. And those are my two bearish targets on Ethereum. And then we'll have to reevaluate and reassess what's going on in the market. But I don't think this is the higher likelihood of happening. I think I'm at a 65-35, I think 65% chance we move to the upside, 35% chance we move to the downside. And I think it's a probability game. So yeah, things are pretty much going towards the downside right now, but that's because we're in a low volatility environment. There's no interest. I think we're waiting for a catalyst of some sort to come up and push us towards the upside. That won't be the reason we move up, but it'll help ignite the move that we're looking to make a lot quicker. Now, Bitcoin dominance is really important here because I do like what I'm seeing on Bitcoin dominance. We got that move towards the upside. I was talking about that on my channel, and we did get it. We got it really fast. So we might get a little bit of a retest on the Bitcoin dominance to about, call it 61, 62%. And that'll be, wait, is that 62%? Yeah, that's 60%. So we'll get it towards 61 or 62%. And that'll be on the move from Bitcoin going from 106 to potentially 140, 150, however high it's going to go. And then once that tops out, I think we're going to see alts gain market share and actually see Bitcoin dominance head towards the downside. So the best is yet to come. The market has really shook up a lot of people this cycle. I think a lot of people are exhausted, myself included. It's been a very exhausting cycle, especially because I've played so much on the alt side. The alts have not treated me well, at least not in 2025. In 2024, it was great. End of 2023, it was also great. It's just towards the half end of this year has been very, very difficult. I would say after June 20th, it's been very, very difficult to navigate the alt market. So I think that's going to change come November, whether it's mid-November or late November. I do think it's going to change, and we're going to see alts actually move towards the upside with Bitcoin dominance heading towards 52, and eventually I think we're going to see 45, maybe coming down to the bottom of the range. Because if you go zoom out far enough, let's go to the 3-day, you can see that this whole thing is essentially just a big range. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Bitcoin dominance come back to 39%. It might have not done it in the same way it did it last cycles, but that's fine. You know, things rhyme, but they don't always go the exact same way. So we'll have to wait and see with this. We're still premature. We have to see Bitcoin make that move towards the upside before we can actually anticipate Bitcoin dominance rolling over. Because I do think that Bitcoin moving towards the upside, making an all-time high, is going to be what we need for Bitcoin dominance actually moving towards the downside. So step one, Bitcoin moves towards the upside. Step two, Bitcoin dominance begins to fall as Bitcoin tops. And I do think some coins are going to take advantage of Bitcoin topping. One of them is obviously Litecoin. Another one's obviously XRP, Ethereum, Solana. Those are going to do really, really well. And we have some lower ones like Curve I've talked about, but there's many alts are going to take advantage of this. And eventually a lot of them are going to pump. Probably not all of them because there's just too many alts right now. Hype is another one that's going to probably pump, but it's just going to take some time. So right now, I'm still bullish, guys. Not much has changed in the market. We're still trading sideways, but I think that's about to change going into November. So that's my little update for you guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the content, and I'll see you guys again on Saturday.